You line up over a 7-iron. You make clean contact, and the ball still comes up short, drifting right, landing nowhere near where you aimed. Again. Here's what I found after months of digging. It's almost never your swing. Your irons have been quietly working against you, and 3 fixes you can make tonight, with the clubs already in your bag, can hand back distance and accuracy you thought aging took from you. I started chasing this because my own scores kept sliding, and every pro shop just wanted to sell me new clubs. Then I found a book from 1968, buried in a used bookstore bin, that had already solved most of this, and been forgotten on purpose. Stay with me, because the last piece of this case is a $2 fix that most golfers over 60 have never once been told about. And every step works with what you own right now. So let me walk you through it, the way I found it, one clue at a time. The first thing I got wrong was believing my clubs were fine because they looked fine. They were clean-ish, no dents. The faces looked smooth. And that assumption cost me 2 full seasons. Here's what stopped me cold. I was reading through old equipment testing notes, and I kept seeing the same phrase, the grooves. Those thin lines cut across the face of every iron. I always thought they were decoration, or maybe just there to look sharp. They are not. Those grooves are the entire reason a golf ball grips the club face and climbs into the air with backspin. Backspin is what makes an iron shot rise, hold its line, and stop near the pin instead of bounding off into trouble. Now here's the part nobody in a pro shop mentioned to me. When those grooves fill with dried mud, grass, and the fine grit that packs in after every round, they stop biting the ball. The United States Golf Association ran testing on exactly this, how much a clean groove matters versus a dirty one. And the loss of spin from a packed, dirty face is not small. You lose control. The ball comes off the face hot and dead, with no backspin to hold it, so it flies unpredictably and rolls out long or squirts sideways. I had been playing for years with what were basically slick, spinless faces and blaming my hands. So I tested it. One evening I took an old toothbrush, warm water, a drop of dish soap, and a wooden tee. I scrubbed the grooves on my irons and dug the packed dirt out of each line with the tee. It took me maybe 12 minutes for the whole set. The next morning, same swing, my 7-iron shots started biting the green again and stopping instead of skidding 20 feet past. That was free. That was overnight. But cleaning those grooves opened a bigger question that honestly kept me up at night, because if something that simple had been robbing me, what else about these clubs was wrong straight out of the box? That's when I stumbled onto the thing almost no senior golfer has ever had checked. And the reason you've never had it checked is the first place someone profited from your not knowing. Here's the belief I had to break. I always assumed a golf club, especially a brand name iron, comes out of the factory perfectly matched to a human being. It does not. It comes out matched to a machine's average. The measurement I'd never heard of is called the lie angle. That's the angle between the shaft and the ground when the club sits flat, ready to hit. It sounds like nothing. It is the single most overlooked accuracy killer in the entire bag. Let me explain why, because this is the part that made me angry once I understood it. When the club meets the ball, if the toe of the iron is tipped up too high, meaning the club is too upright for how you actually stand, the face is aiming left for a right-handed golfer. If the heel is up and the toe is digging down, the face aims right. You can swing perfectly, aim perfectly, and the club itself points your ball off target before you even finish. And here's the number that stopped me. Ralph Maltby, one of the most respected club designers and repair authorities in the game, laid out that a lie angle off by just a few degrees can push an iron shot several yards offline, and it gets worse the farther you hit. On a shorter iron, the miss might be small. On a longer iron aimed at a distant green, that same small error throws you well wide. Multiply that across 18 holes and you understand why you keep missing greens you swear you aimed at. Now, why does your club have the wrong lie angle in the first place? Because it was built for a person of average height, with an average posture and average arm length. If you're taller, shorter, if you've lost a little flexibility with age and stand a bit more upright, if your posture changed over the last decade, and whose hasn't, the factory number is fighting you on every swing. So I tested this at home, and you can too, tonight, with something you already have. Here's the trick the fitters use: strip down to nothing. Take a wide strip of masking tape or a piece of an old address label and stick it across the sole, the bottom, of your iron. Then set the club down on a hard, flat surface, like a garage floor or a firm doormat, and lay a ball down, and make slow, gentle swings brushing the floor the way you would brush the ground on a real shot. Look at the tape. If the mark scuffs toward the toe, the far end from you, your club is sitting too flat. If it scuffs toward the heel, the near end, your club is too upright. If it wears right through the middle, you're matched, and that's beautiful. That mark told me my irons were too upright for how I stand now. All those pulls to the left I'd blamed on my swing for years were built into the club. Getting a lie angle bent to fit costs a few dollars per club at almost any local shop, and it changes nothing about how the club looks or feels. It just stops the club from lying to you about where it's pointed. That one adjustment tightened my accuracy more than any lesson I ever paid for. But here's where the case got strange, because I fixed my grooves, and I fixed my lie angle, and my accuracy jumped, yet I still wasn't getting the distance back. The ball was going where I aimed now, but it was landing short. And that led me straight into the biggest lie in golf equipment, the one that has been quietly reshaped over the last 40 years to keep you buying. Let me ask you something. Do you believe you lost distance because you got older, got weaker, lost your swing speed? That's what I believed. That's what everyone told me. It's partly true, but it's nowhere near the whole story, and the rest of it is a marketing trick so clever it's almost beautiful. It's called loft creep. Here's what happened. The loft is the angle of the club face that launches the ball up and out. Back in the 1980s, a standard 7-iron had a loft of around 38 degrees. That number was stable for decades. But over the last 30-some years, club makers slowly, quietly reduced the loft on their irons. Today, plenty of 7-irons carry a loft closer to 28 or 30 degrees. Do you understand what that means? The 7-iron in a modern set has roughly the loft that a 5-iron used to have. So when a company tells you their new iron hits 10 yards farther than your old one, it's not magic, and it's not better engineering for your body. They just stamped a lower number on a stronger lofted club. You're hitting what used to be called a 5-iron and reading a 7 on the bottom. The distance was borrowed, not gained. And it came with a cost. Those stronger lofts are harder to launch into the air, which is exactly the wrong direction for a golfer with a smoother, slower senior swing. That's the first time in this investigation I could point to a real villain, not a person, but a strategy. Somebody in a marketing meeting figured out that a bigger distance number sells clubs, and that the average buyer would never measure the loft themselves. So the numbers crept. You didn't get weaker as fast as you think. The clubs got sneakier. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now, because I thought it too. You're thinking, this is all very interesting, but I'm not about to become a club mechanic at my age, and I'm not spending a fortune refitting a whole bag. This next part is for you specifically, the person who figures this is too much fuss. Because the single biggest distance fix for a senior golfer costs almost nothing and takes about 10 minutes, and it has nothing to do with buying anything. And that right there is the shape of the whole problem. Nobody ever showed you the setup, so you blamed the calendar. I kept digging past what fits in one video, and I put everything I found into 3 books I wrote myself. For the golfer with clubs already in the garage, and a swing under 90 miles an hour. In them you will learn the ball position reset, the wrist release without strain, a first tee routine that actually holds up, how to retire the long iron without losing the yardage, the exact script to use in a pro shop so nobody sells you a driver you do not need, and the short game protocols that fix thin wedges, feared hybrids, and missed 4-footers. It was never your age. It was your setup, and setup is something you can fix this weekend. No new clubs required. If you want the complete version of what is working for you free tonight, scan the QR code right there on your screen. Link in the description. Pinned comment for the books. Now, back to the case. Because fixing my aim was only half of it. It's your shaft flex and your grips. Two things you already own, both of which are probably wrong for you. Start with the shaft. The shaft is the long part of the club, and it comes in different degrees of stiffness. They're marked with letters. Regular, stiff, and so on. Here is what the industry doesn't put on a billboard. As we age and our swing speed naturally eases off, a stiff or even a regular steel shaft becomes too rigid to load and release properly. A shaft that's too stiff for your swing speed simply won't flex and snap through the ball. It stays dead, robbing you of the whip that launches the ball high and far. Golfers with smoother, slower swings need a more flexible, and often lighter, shaft, the kind marked for seniors or for slower swing speeds. And switching to it can add real, measurable carry distance without you swinging one bit harder. You can feel this yourself tonight without spending a dime. Grab your driver and one of your irons and just waggle them, feel the tip. If it feels like a broomstick, stiff, unyielding, like you're wrestling it, that shaft is likely too stiff for where your swing is now. That feeling alone is worth a conversation about lighter shafts, and many shops can reshaft your existing club heads for far less than a new set. You keep the heads you like, you just give them a spring again. Now the grips, and this one is almost criminal how simple it is. Grips are rubber. Rubber hardens, cracks, and goes slick with age, oils, and sun. A worn, hardened, too thin grip forces your hands to squeeze harder to keep control. And here's the chain reaction. The tighter you squeeze, the more tension floods into your wrists and forearms, and tension is the enemy of speed. Tight hands can't release. A club that won't release loses distance and sprays the ball, so a set of cracked old grips is quietly strangling both your accuracy and your yardage at the same time. A fresh set of grips costs a handful of dollars each, and you can even have them installed for a small fee, or do it yourself over a weekend with grip tape and a little solvent. The moment your hands can relax on a soft, tacky, correctly sized grip, your swing speed comes back on its own, not because you tried harder, but because you finally stopped fighting the club. I regripped my irons for less than the price of one restaurant dinner, and the difference in how freely I could swing was immediate. So there it was, clean grooves for control, correct lie angle for aim, lighter shafts and fresh grips for effortless distance. I thought I'd closed the case. I thought I had the whole answer. I was wrong. There was one more piece, and it turned out to be the piece that mattered most, the cheapest fix of all, and the one that nearly every golfer over 60 is playing exactly backwards. Here's the belief I had to destroy last. I always thought a golf ball was a golf ball. Buy the good ones, the ones the touring pros play, the ones with the famous name and the premium price, and you're getting the best. That is the assumption that cost me the most distance of all, and untangling it sent me all the way back to that old book I mentioned at the start. Let me tell you about it, because this is the anchor of the whole case. In 1968, a group in Britain funded a serious scientific study of the golf swing and the golf ball. Real physicists, real measurement, not marketing. It was published as a book called Search for the Perfect Swing by Alistair Cochrane and John Stobbs, and it laid out the physics of how a ball actually leaves a club face, how the ball has to compress against the face and spring back to fly its farthest. That word, compress, is the key that unlocked everything. Every golf ball has a rating called compression. Think of it as how hard or soft the ball's core is, how much it squishes at impact before springing back. A high compression ball has a firm core. To make it compress and release all its energy, you have to hit it hard, with high swing speed. If you don't swing fast enough, that firm ball never fully compresses. It's like slapping a rock. The energy doesn't transfer, and the ball comes off short and dead. Now here is the trap. The premium, expensive, tour-level balls that everyone is told to buy, the ones with the biggest reputations, are for the most part higher compression balls, built for professionals who swing well over 100 miles per hour. And for decades, the average older golfer with a smooth, easy swing around 70 or 80 miles per hour has been paying top dollar for a ball Their swing physically cannot compress. You've been slapping a rock and blaming your arms. The fix is a low compression ball. A ball with a soft core, built for slower swing speeds, the kind that fully compresses even when you swing easy, so it springs back and launches with real energy. For a golfer whose swing speed sits below roughly 85 miles per hour, which is most of us past 60, switching from a firm, high-compression ball to a soft, low-compression one can add real carry distance and a higher, softer flight, without changing your swing at all. These balls often cost less than the premium ones. Let me say that plainly. The cheaper ball can make you longer. That was the $2 secret I promised you. The knowledge existed in 1968, spelled out in the physics, printed in a real book by real scientists. It got pushed aside because there's no profit in telling a lifelong customer that the expensive ball is the wrong ball and the cheap soft one will fly farther. A few club fitters and old-timers kept it alive, passing it quietly, and now you have it. Try it this weekend. Buy a single sleeve of a soft, low-compression ball. The box will say low compression or soft, or list it for slower swing speeds. Play 3 holes with your usual ball, then 3 with the soft one. Same clubs, same swing. Watch where they land. I did exactly that, and the soft ball carried noticeably farther and came down softer, holding the green instead of running off the back. I had spent years paying more for less. And when you stack it all together, the whole picture finally makes sense. The grooves gave me control back. The lie angle gave me my aim back. The lighter shafts and fresh grips gave me an effortless swing back. And the right ball gave me the distance I thought my age had stolen forever. Not one of those fixes required a new set of clubs. Not one required a younger body. Every single one was hiding in plain sight, buried under a mountain of marketing designed to make me feel that the only answer was to open my wallet wider. What you just took back isn't distance and accuracy. It's the quiet certainty that you were never the problem, that the game was rigged to make you doubt yourself and pay to fix a body that was working fine all along. If you're the kind of person who always suspected that the simplest, cheapest answer was being hidden to protect somebody else's sale, you were right, and this is your proof. So tell me one thing down in the comments. Which one are you going to test first? Cleaning out those grooves with a T tonight, checking your lie angle with a strip of tape on the garage floor, or switching to a low compression ball this weekend? Type it out. I read them, and I want to know which fix surprised you the most. And if you want to keep recovering this kind of buried, practical knowledge, the methods that quietly saved earlier generations time and money before someone taught us to pay for the fix, come along with me. The next thing I'm pulling apart is a forgotten rule about golf ball dimples and cold morning air that changes how far your ball flies before 8 a.m., and almost nobody knows which direction it works. I found the source. I'll show you next time. Before I go, let me leave you with something I keep coming back to, because it's the heart of this whole case. Every fix I handed you tonight already lived inside your bag or cost less than a sandwich. Nobody hid these things in a vault. They hid them in plain sight, behind bigger numbers and shinier ads, betting you'd never dig. So dig. Pull a club out right now, run your thumbnail across the grooves, and feel how packed they really are. That small moment of surprise is exactly what started my whole investigation, sitting on my garage floor with a wooden tee and a dirty 7-iron, wondering how many strokes I'd thrown away for nothing. You don't need a younger swing. You need the truth about the tools in your hands. And now, finally, you have it. Go take back what was quietly taken from you. One clean groove, one strip of tape, one soft ball at a time. I'll see you on the next investigation. Before you go, one thing. This video was the overview, but inside the Old Ways circle I walk you through the full routine, iron by iron, picking up right where we stopped. And if something puzzles you, ask me directly. A real person answers, never a machine. You won't be doing this alone. Folks like you are already inside. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen. Cancel anytime with one click. Come join me.